March 2022. March happens to be Colon Cancer Awareness Month. And in commemoration of that, and to bring more awareness to colon cancer, we are joined by two very special friends of the program. The first is she is a survivor of colon cancer and somebody who is very open to talk to us about the dangers of it, the process, what happened when she discovered that she was affected by colon cancer, and how her outlook has changed. Her name is Freda Botha, and we welcome her virtually. And we're also joined from the Association Cancer by Professor Michael Herbst, who is not his first time, his first rodeo with us, and fortunately not the last as well, because we do like to reach out and give these information, or this much information about these stories. Good morning to both of you, and thank you so much for joining us. Freda, I can't hear you properly. I'm not sure if it's a mic. Okay, there we go. I think I can hear you. I'd like to welcome both of you and thank you for taking your time out today to give us some information about colon cancer, understanding also that there are dangers involved in not early in not detecting early. Frida, tell us about a little bit about your journey. How did you discover that this is something you had to deal with, and what was that process like for you? Frida, could you turn your mic up or on? I'm not hearing you this side. It's very, very, very faint. It's very low. I'm not sure. Sometimes, are you connected via Bluetooth? Sometimes that might, maybe just use the speaker on the actual phone. I think sometimes that might affect. Oh, your mic is muted. That's why it shows that it's muted on our side. You can just unmute your mic. I'm still not getting you. I wonder why. We'll let's try to work on that. And then maybe just go out and come back in with the link. Sometimes that helps. In the meantime, Prof, good morning to you, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. I trust that you'll be able to hear me.
Yes, I can. I just think Frida is going to go out and then come back in with the link. I think that'll probably sort us out.
Yes, it's one of the most important people today, because it's always better to hear the story of somebody who's walked the walk.
Absolutely, Prof. Prof, tell us from a medical perspective, tell us about colon and colorectal cancer.
Yes, we normally combine the two, and we talk about colorectal cancer because the rectum is really part of the colon, which is the large bowel.
Yes.
And it is very disturbing to see the latest trends in colorectal cancer. You know, previously we believed that it was more a disease of the older generation. The older we got, the more people were exposed to the various types of developing the various cancers. But we are seeing many, many more and more and more every day of younger people who are being diagnosed with colorectal cancer. And it is very scary. And I want to add right at the beginning, unfortunately, you know, people may get the wrong idea because they see me as a pale face, and they may see Frida also as somebody who is a pale face, and they may think that colorectal cancer is more involving white people.
Is that a misconception, Prof?
Absolutely. I can tell you, you know, it is about 50-50 for people with lighter skin tone and people with darker skin tone.
Okay.
It's also equal as far as both males and females are concerned. There's no pre-selection with colorectal cancer that it tends to be more amongst males or more amongst females. The other scary thing about when she joins us is that very early on in the disease, there are very, very few signs and symptoms. But I see Frida is back, and let's hear her story.
Frida, let's give it a shot and see if we are winning. it's so low. I wonder, it's very, very low. I wonder what it could be, because we're connected. I can see you. I'm so, it's just so frustrating because we really want to have this conversation. Um, maybe you can just play around with the settings. If you go into the settings of the sometimes depending on the devices, and I mean, maybe there's something there that can be adjusted so that we can hear you a bit better.
Oh, how pitiful.
You know what we can do, Freda? Let us just let's give you a call, actually, and then you'll join us telephonically. I think just so that we can continue this conversation, because time is also running away from us. We'll do it that way, and also have you then on virtually with us as well. Prof, you were still mentioning about the probabilities and the misconceptions about how people perceive the affection, who gets affected by colon cancer, and that sometimes it's misunderstood to be, let's call it, a white person's disease, because the people who come forward and speak about it happen not to look like the people who are receiving the information, which is why we have these conversations, by the way, because this amongst others clears a lot of this up and helps us to spread the knowledge. What are the signs, Prof? You were mentioning the symptoms. What are some of the signs of colorectal cancer?
This is the scary side of it, and that is that so many patients, they tell us that they had very few, if any, signs or symptoms beforehand, and then they get the diagnosis, and they may go to the doctor for something totally different. They may say, I've got a little bit of indigestion lately. I have a lot of flatulence lately. I'm developing a few bouts of diarrhea and then followed by constipation. But nothing serious, but it's not my normal bowel pattern. And then the doctor may start doing various investigations. And then out of the blue comes this diagnosis. After several tests and MRI or other scans having been done, you have colorectal cancer. And that is really so scary for anybody to hear a diagnosis of cancer, because many people still believe that receiving a cancer diagnosis is a death sentence, which it needs. Here's evidence, and I'm so thrilled that Freda is joining us today, and I trust that we will get her voice very soon, and she will join us to tell us her story, because her story is the important message of today. Mine is just as support to what Freda has to tell us.
Hi, Freda, can you hear me now? Perfect. We have you with us. Freda, tell us about your discovery, and what was the lead up to that? How did it happen that you even went to go and see and test if you had something bothering you like this?
Actually, I was feeling ill with something slightly different. I didn't have any symptoms or anything, so I was, didn't see a possibility of colon cancer. I had the gut, and it caused excruciating pain eventually. So I went to the doctor to have a look at it. When I got to the doctor, decided to send me for X-ray. So when I went to the hospital for the X-rays, they decided to take me from the Prevention Hospital in Trusenz to the Medicine Hospital to see a specialist. The thing was to remove the bubbles that were forming in the gut, and they decided to do an operation. So luckily for me, when they did the operation, they discovered polyps that was growing on the colon. So they took a biopsy, and it came back as I had cancer. It was something that I didn't have to know if I wasn't seeing something else.
Wow. So you had no idea whatsoever before all these tests started getting done. was there any kind of discomfort or anything that told you that something was wrong prior to that?
The gut feels so full, you can't eat. I couldn't even eat the yellow of the egg.
Yo.
Everything felt like it was sitting here, nothing was going down. Extremely wrong. It was starting to be painful. I was very tired. And I think that's where it helps to educate people on the symptoms and everything that speaks for colon cancer. Because if I knew at that time that being so tired was one of the symptoms, it would have been something I could have had a look at.
And now, what is your process when you're sitting in the doctor's rooms and the results come back, and obviously they are trained to give it to you as professionally as possible. But I mean, this is not easy news or news you ever hear to expect to hear in your life, that you have cancer. Before you even find out, what the way forward is. I know those words are big words because we don't ever expect to hear them said to us. What happened in that moment for you?
I know for me it was a double blow because I went in for a normal operation that turned into basically a 6-hour operation, and when I came out, I had a stoma bag.
Hmm.
So that was everything that I wasn't prepared for. So not just that I have the stoma bag, they had to also told me then that they found the growth, they sent it away, and it did come back that I had cancer. It's very overwhelming for a person to hear all those things at once.
And what was the immediate steps immediately after the diagnosis? Because obviously, once they know, I'm pretty sure that the doctors want to move as quickly as possible because now the information is there. They want to do more investigation and then see what has to be done. So what happened with you?
Yeah, I only went, I went in 2008 I was diagnosed. I was in 2009 I went for chemo. So I went from May to December I received chemo treatment.
Mm. And was it something that was successful the first time around?
It was yes. And I also went back for regular colonoscopy at the Livingston Hospital. So it's a yearly thing that I need to go for.
Mm.
And I did find growth again, but I was very fortunate that the growth, they would find them in time to remove them. Nothing went over back into cancer again. So, I was fortunate for that.
I want to bring you back into the conversation as well, Prof. Does a person's diet have anything to do with the growth of any type of cancer in the colon at all, or the rectum? Does what you consume affect what happens later on in your system at all?
Yes, thank you very much. That's a very, very important question. I can only tell you that there are certain things in the diet, not necessarily that will cause colorectal cancer, but that increases one's risk of possibly developing it. And here are some of the scientific findings that warn us, which we should remember as far as diet is concerned. Very important to eat a high fiber diet because it helps to clean the whole gut and especially the large bowel. Because we must remember that the food travels very slowly in the large bowel. And if it's concentrated in its essence, then it really moves very slowly. And chances of it changing its composition becomes greater. But high fibers, it tends to move and it cleans the gut. So a high fiber diet is important. Then something maybe that we should try and avoid or reduce the intake of will be red meat. And especially so processed meats. Now, what are the processed meats? These are the various sausages, bacon, ham, and all those types of things. They contain preservatives
Ah.
so that they will last longer on the shelf. And these preservatives are called nitrates and nitrites. And when people go and do their shopping, they could look at the little lists of contents, because today, which we never had in the past, every product must have a list of its ingredients, and they will spot nitrates and nitrites. They are cancer-causing chemicals. And if one eats a lot of processed meats, the nitrates and nitrites tend to be more active in the body, and they can then result in problems, especially of colorectal cancer. Then as for any cancer, and we normally think that smoking is only involved with lung cancer, but smoking is a no-no. It's linked to a variety of different cancers in the body. It increases the risk. The same thing with alcohol consumption. And I can tell you and your listeners that there's no safe level of alcohol consumption. And we know that people who tend to drink even small amounts over a regular period, a lengthy period of time, they have a higher incidence of, amongst other things, colorectal cancer, although there are at least 11 cancers that are directly linked to alcohol consumption.
Wow.
So that plays a very important part.
So, Freda, in your process then, and everything that you have dealt with, I mean, there is also an emotional and a psychological, weight that is attached to all of this. I mean, as a survivor, as somebody who's now positively out there talking about your experience, what was it like having to process that as a person? Because sometimes, and we never talk much about this, the shock of it all affects somebody's approach to how they are going to face whatever it is that is affecting them, especially if it's internal. So what was your process and how did it affect you?
A big shock to my system. It was something that I wasn't expecting to hear. But a person realizes that you need to take it a day at a time. It's not much that you can do about it. You need to follow the rules and regulations that your doctor gives you to do. It's something that takes a lot of getting used to, especially having the stomach bag. That is, I don't have a permanent colonoscopy, but that was something to get used to. It changes the whole way of life for you, and it's something that you are actually, some people are very embarrassed to talk about it.
Okay.
But I feel that it's something that you need to talk about. People need to be aware of it. It's nothing to be ashamed about.
And it's definitely a reality for a lot of people. So I mean, it's not something we should consider taboo or this big secret. It's a reality for a lot of people because it's actually improving the quality of life of people due to what they are dealing with internally.
That's very true. And that for me, I must say for me, the fact that I had a stomach bag in the beginning, that was the worst scenario than having been heard I had cancer. I think it's because a person doesn't hear about these things and you are not aware of it. So once I started learning more about the process, what was going on with the body and everything, a person learns to accept it. And then you realize that I'm not actually the only person that's going through this. There are so many people going through this. People just don't talk about it.
What kind of support did you have, Freda, through your journey with colon cancer?
Family a lot. You depend on your family and with a lot of things, with a lot of help that they need to give you. Friends have been very supportive. Cancer has been very supportive as well. And like I said to someone the other day, is don't use Google as a dictionary to work from. A lot of people, myself, I'm not going to lie to you, myself, the first thing I did is I went to Google and I thought, I'm going to have a look and see what to do. The information is so overwhelming. I think it's doing more damage than what it does to help you. So if you do want to do something like that, go to your correct website, go to the cancer website. They have all the necessary information. They've got a dedicated call line that you can call for help.
And with your association with them, with cancer, did that make things a bit easier to deal with? Did it help you understand the cancer that you are dealing with? Did it help you understand the things that you should expect that it's going to happen with you, and also introduce you to other people that are dealing with something similar?
I must admit to you, in the beginning, when I was diagnosed and everything, I wasn't even aware of cancer. I think people tend to go through life with blindfolds on, to only concentrate on what's important to you. So when something happens to you, your eyes actually open to other possibilities and other things that are going on. That is how I learned about cancer, and that is how I learned that there's a lot they can help me with. So I tend to tell people, they must go to them for help. They've got support groups. They've got the information on their website. They've got educated people like yourself that can help you if you've got questions. So yeah, I found also that a lot of people are contacting me now because I'm part of cancer and saying, I have been diagnosed, or I know someone has been diagnosed. What steps should we follow?
So, Prof, what happens when somebody approaches your organization? Somebody has been diagnosed. They feel that this is brand new to them. You guys are the association that represents all the body that represents all things about cancer and cancer support and everything like that. What happens when I come and say I've just been diagnosed? I really don't even know where to start. I've got cancer and I've heard about you guys and I've been referred. What happens from then?
Well, the most important thing is we are so thankful if people come to us to talk to us. And let me right at the beginning give you a telephone number which is toll free that people can phone. It's 0800 22 6622. It costs you nothing to phone cancer. We will phone you back. You can receive support in 7 different languages that we provide free of charge. So please don't hesitate. You can also visit the cancer website, www.cancer.org.za. There are over 300 fact sheets available covering cancers that most people haven't even heard the names of. You'll find information there. But more important than that, we provide support not only to the patient, the person who's been diagnosed, but also to the family members and even the friends of that individual who are affected by the diagnosis. We provide accommodation for people who, especially coming out from the rural areas, who cannot afford hotel, bed and breakfast accommodation while they're coming for their radiation treatment or their chemotherapy. And they can come and stay in one of our residences, and there's a very small fee involved. And I can tell you that we've never shown anybody the door because they couldn't afford to contribute anything. That is also very important, that I must tell you that we also have a home-based care system whereby we can, it's a little bit limited now with COVID, but it's improving because we're lifting many of the barriers towards socializing, but we can provide even home-based care where a volunteer can come, and a trained volunteer can come and visit the individual to see what's happening at home, what support that the people really need, to help educate the family and even the patient of what to do, what not to do. So those are basically some of the very important things that cancer can do for individuals.
Wow. So Freda, your advice to people as they're listening here today, somebody who's not even being bothered by anything to do with their digestive system, with the colorectal system, someone just sitting listening to us right now, what is your advice to that person about maybe going to get themselves assessed or have a look at what's going on with them, and how would you encourage people to be more vigilant about getting themselves checked up on?
Okay, I would say, if you, especially if you've got a family history with cancer, to do go to a regular checkups and stuff. I know hospitals are very, yeah, very, they don't just do any tests for you. You need to be ill to have a test done. But if you do feel that you're not feeling well, or your stools aren't the regular way that they should be, anything small that makes you feel uncomfortable, sometimes you just have that gut feeling, just go with that maybe, and get a second opinion, go see a doctor, and tell them your worries maybe.
Mm, mm. So, I mean, that usually should spark some interest in them going to want to investigate further, I guess. Yeah. And as a cancer survivor, Frida, um, what is your mission in life now? As far as cancer is concerned, you are here spreading the information as well and being an ambassador for the possibilities when you are able to address it. What is your mission when it comes to cancer now?
To help educate people. I mean, for colon cancer specifically, they say screening should be for people 50 plus. But I mean, I was 34 years old when I was diagnosed.
Mm, wow.
I mean, yeah. So my goal is to try and educate people to don't wait until you are 50 or 40 or something to go have your tests done. So it doesn't matter if you're 20 or 30, go have your tests done. Go do your screening, go do your breast examination, your prostate scan, your prostate test. Go do all those things. Don't wait until you are older.
Mm, mm. And Prof, can we talk about prevention, if any, before we go our separate ways? Are there any ways to minimize the risk of being
Uh,
exposed?
Thank you for your last message. First, you started talking about prevention, and then you said reducing the risk. We can never prevent cancer. It is a disease that knows no boundaries, it knows no race, it doesn't care whether you are rich or poor, it is there if you're going to get it. But we can do a lot to reduce the risk. And my take home message usually to people is this: if you want to really reduce your risk for cancer and even other diseases, know your body, and know your body from the top of your head to the soles of your feet. Anything that is different today than it was yesterday, last week, last month, report it and have it seen to. And for you and me as guys, we are the worst ones.
Mm,
We believe the hunter cannot be hunted. Cowboys
yes,
don't cry, and all these myths that we try to hang on to.
very true.
Women, we need you in our lives. And I want to say to the women listening in today, watch the gentleman, the male in your life, whether it's a boyfriend, a father, a grandfather, an uncle, a life partner, or whatever it is. If you see there's something different in them, nag them until you can take them by the hand and drag them into the doctor's consulting room. So important. Anything different today than it was yesterday, have it seen to.
Prof. Herbst from the Association of Cancer, CANSA, or www.cancer.org.za. That's cansa.org.za. The toll-free line is 0800 222 but it is here in the comment section for those who want to share with people who may not be listening to us right now. You can catch the link immediately after this on our Facebook page, Keith Ngesi Radio. Share it with as many people as possible. This is information that we all can use. These are risks that we're all exposed to, and these are things that can affect any which one of us. And our survivor, Freda Botha, thank you so much for your bravery. Keep up the good fight and keep spreading the information. When you speak of the horse's mouth, it doesn't get any better than speaking with somebody who has survived and can tell the story from the first hand. It means something totally different than even a textbook could. So thank you so much for sharing with us your story as well. Freda Botha and Professor Herbst, have a great day going forward, and thank you so much for joining us.
And thank you for Keith Ngesi Radio. Your people are doing a wonderful work by educating and informing the public. And thanks for having us. Thank you, Freda.
Thank you so much.